In this video I want to talk to you about the loops in Python. Loops allows us to execute some piece of code multiple times. Loops are very useful in all programming languages. Now you will be thinking that what is the mean of executing some piece of code multiple times. I'm gonna give you one practical example. For example, you have large amount of data in the database and you want to display your all data from the database, so you can display your all data from the database by using loop. So you have to put your query in the loop and loop will execute your query and will return all your records. So if you have 100 records in your database, the loop will execute your query 100 times. And every time we will take one record from the database. So this is a big example of loops. We have different types of loops such as for loop, while loop and do while loop. But in Python mainly we use for loop and while loop. So first let's talk about for loop. For loop we use when we have defined iterations. So over here I'm gonna say cities list equal to, and we are going to store some cities names in this list. So let's say Islamabad and Beijing, Washington DC, and let's say New Delhi. Now I'm gonna print all the values of this cities list. So one way we have to direct print the list, but that is not right way. And other way is accessing index values by square brackets, but I'm gonna show you how we can access all the list values by using for loop. So the syntax of for loop is for keyword and then your variable. So let's say data. Over here you can give any name to your variable and then in keyword and then your list or tuple or your set name. So over here you can pass your query as well. Cities list and colon and then for loop block. So now let's print this data, print and data. Now you will be thinking that what is happening on this line. So essentially in this line we are storing all the cities list values in this data variable. So for loop will get all the list values and will store in this data variable, and then we are just printing that data variable. So now if we run our program we will get all the cities names. So let's see, and you can see Islamabad, Beijing, Washington DC and New Delhi. So this is the work of for loop in Python. For loop we use when we have defined iteration. So in this case you can see we have just a few names. While loop we use when we have undefined iteration. So now over here I'm gonna say number equal to 0, and now by using while loop I'm gonna find all the even numbers from 0 up to 1000. In the while loop first we write our condition, and if our condition is true then while loop will execute our code. So the syntax of while loop is while keyword and then your condition. So I'm gonna say number less than 1000 and then colon and then your while block. So now in this while block I'm gonna say number equal to number plus 2, and let's print this number. So now if I run the program we will get all the even numbers from 2 up to 1000. So let's see, and we got all the numbers. So now let me check. Over here you can see our number starts from 2 and goes all the way up to 1000. So this is the work of while loop. Over here you can pass 10,000, you can pass 10 million, you can pass 10 billion. So in while loop we have undefined iteration, and first of all while loop check the condition. If the condition is true then while loop will execute your code. So over here if I change 0 to 2000, now this time we will get nothing. So you can see because now our condition is false. If your condition is true, then while loop will execute your code. We have one else block. Else block we use when our condition is false or when while loop stops execution. The syntax is else and then your else block, and let's say process completed. So now if I run the program, we will get this message process completed, and we got. So this is the work of while loop in Python. These loops are really awesome in Python. You can use loops in different ways according to your requirements, and the concept of loops are same in all programming languages.